Welcome to StreamChat in 30 minutes. Today we'll be building a sample application using StreamChat and Flutter. At the end of this presentation, you'll have a very basic understanding of StreamChat, its features, and of course integration using one of our client-side SDKs. I'm Nash, I'm a developer advocate here at Stream, and I love everything Flutter. I write lots of articles, help with Flutter community, and of course love building great products for developers. When I'm not working, you can usually find me at the pool or the beach because I love to swim. So let's talk about chat. Building chat today is not a simple process. We've all seen popular messaging apps such as WhatsApp or Telegram, and we know it's much more than just sending and receiving messages. Users today expect interactive elements such as typing indicators, reactions, user status, and much more. Now, as a developer looking to add chat to your application, what looks very simple can very quickly become complicated. Of course, as a business building a custom chat solution, this can be very expensive, from maintenance, reliability, scalability, and of course, delaying the actual process of integrating the solution into your app and deploying to your customers. Stream can help with this by taking care of the hard things so developers can focus on what really matters, building great chat experiences in as little time as possible. Now, we've all heard the term software as a service. You can think of Stream as chat as a service, meaning we take care of the infrastructure, scaling, security compliance, and providing basic client-side SDKs, allowing developers to focus purely on integration. Of course, if you're using a framework that is not supported by one of our SDKs, you can use our fully documented REST API to integrate our service directly into your application. At Stream, we love Flutter. We have first-class support for Flutter, and we support a wide variety of packages ranging from a pure Dart API wrapper to a high-fidelity UI SDK. Our project is fully open source on GitHub, and we welcome contributors. To get started, it's actually really simple. Our SDK comes with batteries included. So to get started, you can create an account on our website. We have a free 28-day free trial. You can configure your project using one of our SDKs, create a client using the API key from the Stream dashboard, and of course, get started by using our pre-made widgets directly in your application. Our widgets all have integration using our API, so there is no additional setup required. Now, I focus a lot on the UI aspect. However, there's something here for everyone. If you're building an application using a very custom design, and you don't really need additional or pre-built UI, we also have a core Flutter package. Now, this package ships with business logic, builders, and a very core foundation and a very basic Flutter integration you need to get started with StreamChat, but without the overhead of dependencies and pre-built UI. So this is great for building custom solutions. Of course, we also have a pure API wrapper, which is actually just a Dart package, meaning you can use our service even outside of Flutter if you have a pure Dart project, for example. So this is all great, but where's the code? How do we actually get started? Well, like I said before, you need to get an API key from our dashboard. Then you can create a user token either using our user token generator on the website, or what we recommend is using one of our server-side SDKs. Now this token is actually tied in to the user. So here we can see we're creating an instance of our chat client, giving it the API key, but we're also calling client the connect user. Now this sets the current user for the application. In this case, it's the user with this ID superband-9. And of course, we're passing it the user token. Now the ID and user token are both linked. So in a production scenario, you would actually call an API, passing the user ID to generate this token. Next, we call our familiar run app method to kick off our Flutter application. In Stream, everything belongs and centers around channels. Messages are all sent in channels, and you can think of channels as actually boxes containing messages. A conversation can be between one-on-one members, so for example, a group chat, or a private conversation between two members, aka a one-on-one DM. We make it easy for you to search, filter, and sort channels using MongoDB-style queries. So you can query our API to retrieve either a list of all channels, a particular subset of channels, and perform lots of different advanced queries and operations using channels. To create a channel is really simple. On our client that we defined earlier, we can call the .channel property, pass it the ID. Here we're passing messaging, but we're not limited to just messaging. In fact, we have a bunch of predefined channel types out of the box. So live stream, team, commerce, and of course, your own custom types. Now, passing a channel type is really interesting because it allows you to configure different aspects of the channel and different behavior within the stream. For example, messaging is by far the most common and is in fact the default. But if you think of something like live stream, you'd probably want to configure the behavior. So for example, you may not want read receipts or typing indicators for live stream. So you can configure and turn off certain aspects or certain behavior of the SDK using channel types. Next, we have the ID. Now this ID is optional, but it's great if you have a channel that's already created and you need to quickly reference that channel. In this case, we have a pre-existing channel called GoDevs, and we're passing it the ID here. Now we come to the fun time, and that is creating a channel. Creating a channel can be done in a few different ways. Creating an instance of this class doesn't explicitly create this channel on the backend. We have a method called .create that creates a channel. However, this only creates a channel on the backend without subscribing for front-end updates. In this case, we're using .watch, and .watch is an interesting method since it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It creates a channel if it's not already existing, but it also queries a channel using a default set of parameters to automatically subscribe for updates in that channel. So for example, if a new message is sent, you'll be notified, or if a property on the channel changes, you'd also be notified. So .watch is a nice way to quickly create and subscribe to changes in a channel. Of course, we can't talk about chat messaging without actually talking about messages. Now, messages can be wide-ranging. They can be plain text, they can be rich, containing attachments such as audio, images, GIFs, etc. But there are also times where you'd probably want to have more control over your message. So for example, if you'd like to store custom attributes on your messages. For cases like this, we actually support storing 5 kilobytes of custom key value pair on every message. Of course, messages can have a different range of types. For example, a regular message, an error if something went wrong, a system deleted, and of course, custom message types. All of our standards are open, allowing you to customize the experience based on your needs and based on your application. Of course, if you're in a group chat, for example, we also support mentions. Now, mentions are great for tagging users if you have a conversation with more than one participant. But how do we send messages? Well, just like before, we can create an instance of our message class. Here we just give it some text. In this case, we're asking Nick, do you like pineapple pizza? Now here you can see we're calling channel.sendMessage to actually send this message to a channel. And of course, this is an asynchronous method, so we can await this call. Now there are lots of different attributes and properties you can change on a message. Those are just some of the basics. To fully customize messages or to look at all of the properties, you can go to our website and check out the list below. Now, with the boring stuff out of the way, let's dive into some code and start building our pizza messaging application. Now, before we get started and jump into coding, there are a few things you're going to need. The very first thing is an account on Stream. Now, Chat has a 28-day free trial, which you can sign up for by going to getstream.io, then hitting try for free. Here you can sign up with your email, organization, and password, or simply sign up with GitHub. Once you're signed up, you'll be taken to a page where you can create a project, and you'll be shown an API key. Next, we'll need to use one of our Flutter clients. If you go to pub.dev and type in StreamChat, you'll see a few of our Flutter packages. The one we'll be using for this demo is a fully fledged UI SDK. So in this case, it's stream_chat_flutter. You can click this, and the version I'll be using is the beta version. So you can click beta, scroll down, and you'll see the line to add to your pub spec. Of course, our packages are actually open source on GitHub, so you can either click our repository or go to GitHub, and you can take a look at all of our different packages. You can inspect the code, or if you spot a bug and you'd like to change something, send us a pull request. So now let's jump into VS Code. In VS Code, we have a very basic counter application. Now, this is generated when you first create a Flutter project. I didn't really do anything special in here. If we look at the pub/spec.yaml, I added the asset for the pizza, and I added our dependency that we saw earlier. Before we can start coding our application, let's actually go ahead and remove everything in here. We're going to start from the very beginning. So we can start by importing material. We want to set up our main function. So we can type in void main. I'm going to call run app to kick off our Flutter application. And of course, we'll be building a material application. So we'll use material app. Now inside material app, we need to give it a home. We need to tell it, hey, I need you to render something. And let's just call this pizza chat. There we go. Now, of course, we need to create a pizza chat application. So we can go pizza chat. If I can spell chat correctly, it would be amazing. Change our container to a scaffold. And let's just give it a quick hello world body. So here we'll just center some text. Then give it a child, add a text, and let's just say hello devs. And make that an exclamation mark. Awesome. Let's hit reload. Need to do a hard restart since we changed our state, and we see our hello dev. Now, great. If you remember from our keynote earlier, to get started with a stream, we actually need to bring in two things, and that is our API key and our user token. Now, like I showed you, you can get our API key on the website using a free account, and you can get the user token either on the website for debug or generated server-side using one of our server-side SDKs. Next, we need to give our application a gateway. And I say gateway, but I actually mean client. You can think of a client as a bridge between your application and our server. So we can go ahead and define a stream chat client passing the API key. Now, Flutter is going to complain and it's going to say, hey, I don't recognize this class. And it's right. And that's because we need to import the package into our application. So we can go ahead and have the quick assist help us here by importing stream chat Flutter. There we go. Our error goes away. Next, we need to identify ourselves. To do this, we can go on our clients and we can call our connect user method. Now, connect user sets the user for this application and goes off to the server and identifies itself. Here we're using the ID Neevash and we're using the user token that we generated earlier. Now, again, we have a pesky little error here and it's saying, hey, you're trying to call an async function and you're trying to await this call in a method that's not async. And now to fix this very quickly, we can turn this into a future. So pass void, turn this into a future like that, and our error goes away. But you might be a bit curious, like why are we calling await here? And that's because before we can make calls to stream, for example, to query a channel or send and receive messages, we need to set the user. And setting this user is actually a network call to our API. So we need to wait for this call to be completed before we can continue. Of course, this will be a blocking call, meaning we can't actually load our application until this call is completed. So in a production scenario, you could move this to a backend or a block or some sort of state management class where you show a loader or an indicator while this process is being done. But for this demo, it's actually not. But for the purposes of this demo, it's fine. Let's fix our trailing commas there and hit reload. If we hit reload, we can check our console, make sure we have no errors, and perfect. So that's good. We've added our application, we've configured our client, and we've got no errors. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to set up our channel, aka we need to tell the application which box we'd like to send and receive messages from. To do this, exactly like the snippet we saw earlier, we're going to create a channel variable. And we're going to do this by calling client.channel, pass it the type messaging, and of course, identify the channel by the ID pizza. Now, we want to get the best of both worlds here. So we're going to say, if this channel doesn't exist for some reason, go ahead and create this channel for me. And if it does exist, just query the channel and subscribe me for updates because I want to know when new messages are sent. Let's hit hot reload here. and see if anything happens. We check our console, we reloaded our application, we have no errors. Now this is great. Next, we want to start building some UI. If you think about your typical chat application today, they will have a pretty standard layout. They have an app bar at the top, and maybe that app bar has a title. So we can set a little title here for us. We're going to call this pizza. Maybe you get a pizza emoji in here. There we go. Add a comma, format, and do a quick reload. There we go. So most applications, they all have this typical app bar with some information about the chat that you're in. Now, we can't code this directly using the methods we explored inside of Stream Channel. For example, we can listen to some of the methods that are in here. However, we actually have pre-built UIs that implement this functionality for us. So since we're lazy, let's go ahead and use one of the pre-built components from the Stream Chat SDK. So here, I'm going to use channel header. And if I quickly go to the documentation for this component, we can see an example of how it's implemented. And of course, we can get some quick screenshots or a quick overview of the widget. But we're adventurous, so we're not going to read documentation. Let's go ahead and hit restart. And oh no, looks like it just blew up. And that's actually to be expected. So let's back up and think about what we're doing. We're saying we want to get some information on our channel. But if you look at where we define our channel and where we're trying to get this information, we're actually not passing the channel to our application. So to do this, we need to use a widget called Stream Channel. So we can come over here and we can wrap our pizza chat in a Stream Channel. There we go. Inside our little Stream Channel, we can give it the channel that we want to listen to, format, and hit restart. There we go. It's doing something and it crashed. So now if we go up in our logs, let's figure out why this crashed. Now it's saying, you must have a stream chat at the top of your widget tree. So why is that? Well, we're telling the application we want to listen to a channel, but we're not identifying ourselves to our server. And that's because we're not passing our clients anywhere in our application. So to do this, we can set the top widget of our application to a stream chat. In a material app, we can use a builder property, pass it the context, the child is the second parameter, and use this as a very simple way to wrap our entire application using a stream chat. Here we can give it child, which will pass as child, and we can pass the client using the client and the API we defined earlier. There we go. Now, I promise you this is going to work. So let's hit reload. We wait. There we go. We see Parsons Pizza Palace. We see a picture here. And of course, we see the status for the user. And they were seen a few seconds ago, which is great. We're going to get excellent service from this Pizza Palace. Next, we need a way to actually view messages. So to come down here, let's see how we're going to implement this. We need something like a list view, but our application actually has two parts. If you think of a WhatsApp or a Telegram, you have the list of messages, and of course, you have a place to send messages. So now as a developer, what comes to mind is a vertical layout containing two items. Let's just start with a column. We can use a column, and let's just scaffold our layout here. Let's play around and see what we can come up with. We need a list of messages, so I'm just going to use a placeholder to represent our lists. And we need another placeholder to represent our input. To differentiate this, let's just make this orange. There we go. So if we refresh this, it's going to reload. Yeah, so we want to have something like this. We want to have a list view on top and an input at the bottom. Now, this is great, but we actually want our list view to be the main component. We want this to take up the majority of the space. So to do that, let's just add an expanded here. and hit refresh. And we don't see any difference, and that's because both placeholders are sized exactly the same. But that's fine. Let's get started by replacing this placeholder with a message list view. Now, the name is super boring, but it's also very obvious what we're going to do here. We're going to replace that placeholder containing a list view with messages. If I refresh this now, there we go. We see our message list view, and it says no chats here because we haven't initiated a conversation. Now, the next thing we need is an input. So we need some sort of input. Let's start typing input, and what we're looking for is a message input. There we go. Now, a message input and our message list view are both pre-made widgets coming from our SDK. If we reload our application now, we can see we have an area containing a list view with no chats and an input at the bottom. Let me close this console since we're not using it, reformat our documents, and let's just get started by saying something like, hello, and send. Now, before we reply to this, let's actually add some bit of customization to this chat. Let's get a pizza application if there is no pizza in the application. So I did add an image before, so let's go ahead and add a cool background image to our chat. So we can come here, wrap our new widget, and use a decorated box. Give it some box decoration. And of course, use an image. And we can hover over the type here to see what it needs. It needs a decoration image. There we go. And I believe this needs another image property. And here we'll just pass it assets image. And let's just point it to the asset we imported earlier called pizza.png. So let's hit refresh. Oh no, looks like I have a typo here. I think it's assets.png. Forgot the S. Let's hit refresh again. Reloading. Oh, there we go. There's our little pizza image, but it's not styled correctly. Let's go ahead and fix the styling on this. We can change the fit, change the box, fit, just set this to fill. And of course, I forgot my trailing comma, so we're gonna save that. There we go. Now we have a really awesome pizza background for our chat. Let's not keep our attendant waiting, so let's just say add like to order. And send off a message as we add more customizations to our application. Man, they must really want our order. Next, we're looking great here, but we can customize this some more. For example, our background is this awesome orange and red, but our chat is just white and boring. To customize this and add some colors and some interactive elements to a chat, let's go up to our string chat and give it some theme. Just as in Flutter, you can specify a theme data to customize your app. We expose something very similar for Stream Chat. So here we can create an instance of Stream Chat theme. There we go. And what we want to do in here is we want to change some of the color, some of the colors, and maybe some of our messages. So the first thing I want to do is change the icons a bit. These icons, they're gray, but I want to make them that bright pizza yellow. To do this, I can use a color theme. As the name implies, a color theme allows us to change colors in our application. Now I'm just going to hit a quick restart, and you can see our loader turned to yellow. And if I was to come here and start typing, our icon at the side turns to yellow. Now this is great, but let's take this a bit further. I want to change the entire channel header. I want to make the channel header a bright red to match our application. Well, to do this, I can come in here and I can say channel theme, which is the second one. Now I want to create a new channel scene. There we go. Now inside our channel, we want to change the header. So we can see we have a bunch of different options that we can change and modify in here. But what we want to do is change the header. So let's start typing header. There we go. We want to change the channel header. And inside, what we're going to do, not the avatar, we're going to change the color. There we go. Now I use this really cool tool called Pixel Picker. So I'm going to just pick a color from our code and paste it in here. Awesome. Format our document and hit restart. There we go. This looks much better. Our channel header is matching the background image for our application. But the black here doesn't look great at all. Let's customize this. Let's change this to something like a white that will really stand out on that pizza red. Now to do this, I can come down and of course we have a property called title. You can go ahead and drop in a text style and pass in the color is white. And we have white. Great. The next thing that we want to do is change how our message widget renders. For example, we have an indicator at the bottom here showing the name of the pizza place and the time. However, let's say we don't like this. We already know that we're talking to the world's best pizzeria, so let's get rid of this. To customize this, we can come into our message list view and we can look for a builder. So in here, we can come in, we can hover over to get the signature for this callback, and you can see it takes the context, the details, and a list of messages. So here we can type in the fuzzy context, details for the message, and a list of messages. We want to change the message for both the sender and the receiver. So we may need to have like an if statement in here to differentiate between both of them. So we can say if I'm the sender, I want to do something different, else I want to have a different style for the other person. Now to get that sender, it's actually really simple. We can create a very quick variable here called sender, and we can get this information from the details. Here you can see we're using the helpful is my message property, but we're just going to simplify it into a variable. Now if it's my message, we want to return message widget. There we go. And inside this message widget, we can give it a theme. So we can say stream chat theme out of context. Now, if you've used Flutter's built-in theming, you know this pattern is very familiar. We can use an inherited widget to look up the theme. So we're going up the tree to get the latest instance or the nearest instance of this class. And we're just going to give it our own message theme. We need to also give it the message or the text that we want to display. So we can go details dot message. Now this function is going to complain because we're only returning a widget if it's the sender. We also need to return a similar widget even if the message does not originate from the sender. To change this, let's change the theme from own message to their or other message theme. Hit restart. Oh, well, now everything looks one-sided. Maybe that's just a bug with the previous message. Let's actually send another message to test this. The pizzeria is asking us what we'd like to order, and I want a pineapple pizza. There we go. Now they're asking us to confirm. I guess that's probably not a common order for this pizzeria. It's making me rethink my choice in ordering here. So let's just say yes, please. And we still have the same problem. Now let's look at our message widget and see how we can solve this. If we come into the message widget constructor and we scroll down, we can see we have a bunch of properties in here. We have a message theme, and we have a reverse. And it says, if true, this widget will be mirrored. Now let's try this. There we go. So if we're the sender, let's have this message reversed. hit refresh, and there we go. Our message is now rendering on the correct side. This is great, but I don't really like these boxy corners. Let's change this. Let's look in here and see if there's a way we can change this. So let's say we want a circular border. So border radius, circular, and let's just make this, say, 12. I think 12 definitely would look great. Save. There we go. Now 12 looks great for me, but let's say if I am the pizza place, I want to make this extremely round for some reason, and I'm going to change this to 36. Well, let's see. Parsons Pizza Palace shows up with a message bubble that is 36 dips circular. Next, the original purpose for doing this was to remove the sender from our message widget. And to do this, we can say we don't want to show the username, so we're going to set that to false. But I don't also like the timestamp. The timestamp is also a bit weird, so we can say timestamp. Let's also set this to false. Now our timestamp is gone, our username is gone, but we've got this random check mark that's here under our widget. Now this was fine when we had a username and a timestamp, but I think it just looks a bit odd, so let's move it. So we're going to say indicator and turn off this property since we don't really want it for our application. If I hit refresh, this looks a lot better. We can see the customer rep's avatar, their messages, you can see our messages and our avatar, but maybe let's change the text color of our message and our name. So to do this, let's go back up to our theme and let's just customize our own message theme. So we can go back up here. Let's just say our own message theme. We'll just want to replace that using some different colors. So maybe white, change the background, and change the text. And of course, we're changing something that's modifying the state of our app. So we're going to hit refresh. And there we go. Our application is definitely looking like a pizza app. Our channel header is matching the background. Our messages are matching the toppings. We can confirm our delivery. I'm just going to say deliver to the Caribbean. There we go. Send that. Great. I told him, send me my pizza to the Caribbean, and my address is Trinidad. Since the Caribbean is made up of multiple islands, he's probably going to want to know where to ship this. Awesome. My pizza is on its way, and we've got a few minutes to spare. So let's head back to Keynote and go over some of the things we learned. Today, we found out that pizza is awesome. We learned that building a chat group can be hard, but Stream can simplify this process. We learned about the different infrastructure and the ways Stream can help with scaling and reducing time to market. And of course, we made an awesome chat application using Flutter and our client-side SDK. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. If you'd like to learn more about Stream, Flutter, or you'd like to chat, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll be happy to help you out.